So what I figured, the paint is in layers and is more difficult to get off, which I figured. And it gets into little grooves of the grain, but it, just a little bit more work clearing it off. But it brings to mind, just take this off.
Yeah.
It brings to mind while I'm doing it as a meditation, when we talk about conscious tattoos, conscious anything, when you put intention into what you're doing and activated by the heart even more so, something happens. And this is why I believe that symbols and other sort of mathematical structures, if you want to call it that, sacred geometry is a biggie, are so powerful, and poetry and art in general and music can be so powerful in shifting consciousness and then in turn structure. I think the consciousness in a lot of ways comes first. But anyway, so symbol of the doors, symbol of a portal, how does that affect an actual shift or portal or opening? And I'll explain just a little teeny bit about it from my perspective is, even down to the details, what I'm doing by clearing off all this old paint, all the old debris, dealing with as I come through the paint, it reveals cracks and damage to the door from before. So in order to get all this old stuff cleared off, you have to, number one, come to terms with what you're going to uncover and be willing to come up with these crossroads of options and difficulties that you didn't necessarily know, although you might have anticipated. The willingness to go in there into those dark corners, into the shadows, is of utmost importance because of the process and what it parallels in reality. So I have to be aware in doing this work to open up a real portal, is be aware of every detail, be aware of my emotions while I'm doing it, my resistances that come up, because they're all just like someone reading a tarot card. They're triggers, they're this information. So I am aware as I'm working on this of my thoughts, my feelings, even if I was listening to the news, what comes up, or music, what are the words in the music? The weather, sun suddenly comes out at a certain point, or I have at a certain stage, maybe in the peeling the paint off, maybe I don't like it, and my emotions coming up. Why do I have resistances? All this is a parallel to move through on this level to affect that level, whatever those levels are, micro, macro, on a certain dimensional level to affect another wider dimensional level, whatever it is, and seeing the parallel of, say, synapses in the brain or in the heart, neurons, and the firing off, and the sort of receptor aspect, and sort of the hand and glove,
lock and
key kind of mechanism. Thanks, Rafe. All of this is going on, and for those that might say, "Oh, I love Damon's art," and it's really lovely that he wants it to affect something on a healing level, but whatever. If he wants to just delude himself, that's fine. At least it's caring and loving. But for those who therefore don't understand, this is a little bit of a hint of how this all works. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm paying close attention to the details of this is so important to clear this off, rather than say the thoughts in my mind while I'm doing it. Gee, why not just cover it up? That mechanism, right? Which is the old layers of people going, let's just cover it up again. Let's cover it up again. Buy ourselves some time. And it doesn't cost us much now, but of course, as you know, the future, which is now, I'm having to do this because of those decisions. So everything affects something down the road. When we were living in the stone house in Fergus, I look at a stone and the mortar around it, and I think, wow, that mortar was made by hand at this certain time period with a certain mindset, and like that stone was fitted exactly in that spot and then hardened like a fossil. Thoughts were there. I wonder what they were. Feelings, emotions. So same thing. There is no piece of art with intention, that doesn't have all kinds of emotions in there, and probably some periods where the artist was frustrated and so on. So all of that must be, in my opinion, taken into consideration and being made aware of while clearing old stuff in such an important process as this, where every single symbolic element of this portal and its preparation and its opening are imperative to be aware of. Although so much of it happens beyond the mind, there is an element where the mind must play a part in keeping things in order as this unfolds. So this is what I'm doing now, is cleaning all the debris off, being willing to go through the suffering. David Goggins mentioned about how suffering, in the scars, in particular, in those scars, in these little cracks that are being revealed by the paint being removed, it's important. This is like restoration aspect of anything. It's important to not hide something here and to expose it all. All of it needs to be exposed. All the cracks, all the stuff that you may not like. And you go, oh shit, now that means I have more work to do. But it's all part of it. That is so important, and that's hence what we have in the world right now, is a mass flow of people feeling very, very almost righteous in front, a layer in front of the fear that is controlling that righteousness, or hey, don't you get it? This is the way it is, sort of thing. Of that pattern. It's important to expose all this, and in me exposing all of this here and honoring it and leaving my heart open as without judgment, helps heal that aspect of the process that's going on right now, and that resistance. I can melt with the chemical maybe some of this resistance. Maybe, who would ever think that a solvent for melting paint could actually be helping cure the world of their resistances, to allow for the next beautiful stage, once this is all cleaned off, is drawing on the patterns and the patterns of health, just like the Shipibo Indians in Peru and many others over history have done and do. It's all this similar approach, and this is what we need to bring back into our lives right now, is this acknowledgement. We're doing it anyways. That's what they talk about with placebos and all kinds of things are touching on all this kind of stuff. We are doing it consciously or unconsciously, so why not become conscious of it? Why not be a part of this door project? There's nothing that can go wrong. It's all good intentions, regardless of what your beliefs are. This is for healing.